Hey everybody! So, when discussing this topic, I am a little hesitant because I don't have much experience with this in my personal life, and I really have never had any religious values that conflict with what the government laws and policy are. I also don't think anybody in my immediate family or friend group has had any personal issues with this as well. Um, I really tried to think of a personal story because I think that's like the best way to learn, but the most personal story I have is maybe from a few years ago when the whole autism is because of vaccines case came out. Like right around that time, I just had a little brother who was diagnosed with autism, and a lot of parents had backlash from on social media for me and my family, especially my mom, saying like, "You did this to your son by letting them be in the hospital and get all these vaccinations," and like at least for us, like it worked out because the survey came out as false, so it was never like put into policy that you shouldn't give your kids vaccinations. But like I felt like at least I had some sort of a personal story with that. Um, with I don't know, with this assignment, it's really hard for me because I feel like there's not a simple or easily resolved thing that you can just tell people like spanking is good or bad, or you should sleep with your kid or not, or you should be allowed to have abortions or not, or you should send your kids to school or not. There's just like a lot of things that policies say and parents don't believe, especially in other cultures. But just specific to the US culture, I think that unless there have been multiple studies done that have an extreme benefit or like you show extremely harmful, then I think the parent should be able to choose. So like an example of that is like underage drinking or smoking. Like obviously we've seen in so many studies that that halts and hurts your brain activity and your brain growth, and everyone should make their child wear a seatbelt and be in a car seat, and you see that that is more beneficial because there's been multiple occasions that seatbelts save lives. So obviously those are laws that I feel like everyone can get on board with, but then when you try to think like overall, there's always this person does this and okay, maybe that's all right, and this person does this. So um, I think that on the like main part, I believe that parents should be able to make the main decision, but on the opposite side, being devil's advocate, I think if the parent is trying to harm the child, or if they are not doing what the child probably is best for the child, then I do think that if it is the case that a family member or a close friend can take care of that, then that would be the best. If not, like one of our amazing social workers could help handle that. So an example of this that I heard was a story of a mother who just had a baby who needed a lung transplant, and they have been trying to do pig hearts for this child, and the mom was in the religion that believed they shouldn't have any animal products consumed. And although this isn't consuming it technically, the mom just felt like this wasn't, she believed that her religion shouldn't accept this and that she didn't really want it for her child, but they were about to die and the doctors decided to do it anyway. They overrode her decision, and I think, in my personal opinion, that that was all right because, like, the baby lived, and technically it wasn't against the religion because he's not consuming it. But I also don't know much about their religion, so I can't really say. But I think that that is a case where the parent could be making the decision or should not be making the decision for the child. When talking about immigrants or people migrating from other cultures, that to me is a very tricky subject because they have a lot of specific traditions and rituals surrounding childbirth. And then most of them, at least the ones that you've read about in class, don't really harm the child. Some have some risks, but most of the time it ends up being fine in their culture. A lot of them are thought to be unsanitary or unethical here, such as like bringing the placenta home after birth. I think that, like, at least in my opinion, that isn't very unsanitary. Just put it in a plastic bag and they can take it home if they really feel like they want to bury it, or some people eat it. I think this is very optimistic to say, but I hope that the US can be more inclusive of those and even try to encourage the medical team and the rest of society and government to try to be more inclusive of other cultures. And if it really isn't hurting anything, then they should be able to do it. Another example of that is with the topic we just talked about of the girls getting circumcised. I do think, and after reading a lot of being in a gender psych class, I think that it shouldn't happen right at birth. I think they should always give the children the opportunity to make the choice, especially with all of the possible risks that come with it. So I think that once the child is old enough, they should be able to not have to travel to Africa like the woman in the article you read about, but they should be able to have somewhere in their home in the United States that they have more of that available to them. So once again, overall, I think this is a very case-by-case issue. I think, in my opinion, parents should be able to choose what's best for their child, not the government or policy, but there are cases, cultural and extreme cases, where I think that does need to happen. So, thanks.